From the National Weather Service in Raleigh, it's Nick Petro with your routine weekly briefing for Central North Carolina. Coming to you from the National Weather Service here in Raleigh, North Carolina. This period is the first week in August. This weather forecast period we're talking about today covers through the 7th of August. So let's just jump right into it. And the weather pattern that we're experiencing right now is dominated by heat headlines. Heat headlines. That'll be the main concern today and Friday with heat advisory conditions expected. What is heat advisory? Well, that's basically when we see heat index hitting 105. We're expecting 105 to be pretty typical, mainly across the eastern half of the state. So heat advisories are in effect for particularly from the US 1 corridor eastward today, and that'll probably be the case for tomorrow as well. Otherwise, it's a pretty typical summertime pattern with the usual afternoon and evening showers and thunderstorms in the forecast each day. I will point out that there is a risk that one or two of those storms could result in a damaging wind gust or two. So we are outlooked by the Storm Prediction Center for marginal risk for severe storms. I'll touch on that here more in a moment. The other big story that's gained a lot of attention in the last couple of days is the tropical wave that has been approaching the Bahamas, and certainly that was something we're keeping a close eye on, but the latest tropical weather outlook shows that staying well to our south this weekend and early next week. So that's good news. Well, good news for us, maybe not good news for Florida. Look how deep green that rain indication there is for Monday and Wednesday there, and even into early this weekend. So anyway, we'll touch on that here some more. Again, here's the severe thunderstorm potential for the next 8 days, and you can see today, tomorrow, and Saturday are all highlighted green, the darker shade of green, which means isolated severe thunderstorms possible. We think damaging wind gusts will be the main threat. Again, but fairly typical coverage for this time. There's going to be storms every day for the next 7 days. It's just, and this is typically the severe wind gust season. I believe July is when we typically see the greatest number of damaging wind gusts. Typical microburst, rain-loaded downbursts is very, very common this time of year. So anyway, that's why I tell folks, even if we aren't highlighted in the darker green, you never can rule out an isolated damaging wind gust with these localized wet microbursts that oftentimes happen in summertime thunderstorms. All right, in terms of how much rain, well, really kind of, because it's a typical summertime pattern, it's really hit or miss. If anything, there might be a little bit better organization on Saturday. You'll notice a little bit more defined swath of rain there on Saturday, and that's because there is an upper level disturbance that'll be traversing the region, so that might try to focus a little bit more of the thunderstorm activity rather than the just hit or miss type stuff. So there's your 5-day total, and on this slide is a 7-day total. So the bottom line here is the heaviest rain is offshore and to our south over Florida, with us getting sort of a typical weekly amount. So anywhere from like 3/4 to an inch, maybe 1.25 inches for lucky spots. All right, well, that takes us to our drought. So the drought across the eastern half of the state has seen a lot of relief. In fact, it's been pretty much erased, but we're still chipping away at it across the western half of the state. There's still some areas of moderate drought, and even a little spot there of severe drought. But again, we're chipping away at that little by little. All right, and then I think this is what everybody was waiting to see, the tropical weather outlook from the National Hurricane Center as of this morning. And remember, if you looked at this yesterday and the day before, and remember, I always tell folks, take a look at this every day. If it's weather you love, it's weather.gov. So certainly check out our official forecast at weather.gov. If it's hurricanes you love, it's hurricanes.gov. So remember, hurricanes.gov to get this graphic here updated every day, actually 4 times a day. So certainly, if you followed this, you might recall that the orange blob there representing a 60% chance of formation was not only across the eastern Gulf of Mexico, but across over the southeast coastal areas, and now that has consolidated more towards the eastern Gulf of Mexico. So again, no, that's good for us here in North Carolina, maybe a heavy rain event for Florida, but suffice it to say, we're fairly confident that we could say no tropical cyclone concerns for North Carolina at this time. Of course, we'll be keeping an eye on things in case things change. Also, keep in mind we are headed through, now that we're into the month of August, August typically is the month where we start to see the number of tropical cyclones beginning to ramp up as we get into later into the summer. Peak of the season is in early September. All right, so looking further down the road, the following week, above normal temps, above normal precipitation. That's pretty much what we've had all summer. And then as you look at this graphical hazardous weather outlook, the purpose of this is to try to just give you, at a glance, a quick summary of what our biggest concerns are. And quickly, your eyes should be drawn to the red and purple, which is excessive heat. So that is our biggest concern as we head through the next week. What are some other concerns? Well, lightning certainly is highlighted there, orange and yellow. There are some thunderstorm wind concerns today. You can never rule out some hail, but that thunderstorm wind concern will be today, Friday, and Saturday. Looking at that severe weather line, you could see both today, Friday, and Saturday are all highlighted as a marginal risk for severe weather. So, there are hazards, there are concerns, but it's mainly as it relates to heat and then severe thunderstorms. So anyway, we certainly can use the rain to cool the heat down, but we certainly don't need the severe. But again, this time of year is when typically these wet microbursts happen. So we have to be careful of that and be cognizant and make sure you have a way to receive National Weather Service severe thunderstorm warnings. Okay, so wrapping this up, heat will be the main concern today and Friday, with heat advisory conditions expected. Heat indices 105 plus. Again, that heat advisory is mainly for the eastern half of the state. It's a very typical summertime pattern with the usual afternoon and evening thunderstorms in the forecast each day this period. For now, tropical cyclone concerns look like they'll remain well to our south this weekend, early next week. We're keeping an eye on that. Again, for the impacts, remember, I mentioned that thunderstorms are in the forecast each day this week, but we are in a marginal risk for severe storms today, Friday, and Saturday. Again, damaging wind gusts, the primary hazard. And again, take it easy outside. We've had a hot summer, and today is just another day of that, with heat indices exceeding 105 in a lot of